Most trading styles and methodologies have reasons to be bearish right now. For example, support and resistance traders are looking at Bitcoin fall off this cliff governed by moments A, B, C, D, E, and F. Bitcoin just went below that area. Pattern traders are looking at this parallel channel as a bearish retracement before continuation to the downside, similar to how they see that the opposite of this. For example, this little channel here is a bullish retracement before continuation to the upside. This would be seen as the inverse of that. Wave traders are looking at this as an A, B, C wave to be followed by a stronger A wave to the downside. EMA traders are seeing the ever important EMA's weekly 55 in blue and the weekly 10 in red. Also mixed, a lot of EMA traders look at horizontals as well. All of these three coming to a point and Bitcoin fell off that entire cliff. But from an EMA standpoint as well, without support and resistance, Bitcoin just fell off that cliff and closed a weekly candle. This is not the weekly chart. The weekly closed below both of those important EMAs. And in addition to that, with this EMA pattern here, where the red went below the blue, came back to it and fell back below the last two times per my covering this in my last video. And if you want to see more about this, you should watch the last video. I'll link you that to the end. This is what happened the last two times that this exact EMA structure on the weekly has happened. Yellow is what happened in March 2020. Pink is what happened in 2018. What we're going to do in this video is I'm going to show you what signals in the charts could offer reasons for some of those groups of people to come in and either stop being sellers or to become buyers. We're going to find some hopium in the charts, and then B, we're going to compare that to the obvious reasons to be bearish, and I'll let you decide in this video which way you want to vote for it. Are you ready? Let's get it. Bullish hopium number one. I'm going to start off with the monthly chart. And this one idea is what made me flip from midterm time frame bearish. And what I mean by midterm is what's going to happen throughout beginning to middle of 2022. Not necessarily the end of 2022. Since December, okay, I've maintained on my channel on the midterm time frames what's going to happen, before August of 2022. I am very, very bearish. This monthly closure right here, the month of March, closed above the monthly 10 with two green month closures in a row. The mixture of that, again, the first thing is a closure above the monthly 10, and second, two green months in a row. That forced me to go from midterm time frame very bearish, which I've maintained for 4 months, to neutral / bearish, something in this vector, but not just straight up bearish. This is a fairly bullish signal. If you look back in history, a closure above after having gone below is typically a very good sign, especially if it's a second candle. There have been fake outs to the upside with one monthly closure above, and then the next month just falls through. We've covered that extensively on my channel, but the mixture of two green months plus a closure above made me flip from super bearish midterm to neutral / bearish, and that's one bullish thing in the charts. I will go to the daily chart and I will take off this EMA. And again, this is hopium. I'm fishing for reasons why Bitcoin might bounce, somewhere along this trend line. If we can connect these lows here, essentially that parallel channel that I drew earlier. And if you want to see how I draw parallel channels, I will go ahead and draw it like this. And in the short-term time frame, Bitcoin just fell out of the point of control. So the yellow, so you see how I have a red range, yellow range. It's like a stoplight, red, yellow, green. All right, well, it just fell past the point of control. That's pretty bearish. So it looks like Bitcoin immediately is going to go to 39.4 for your short-term time frame analysis. Maybe a bounce there. But the second reason why people might have reasons to come in to be buyers, at least around here, which is my favorite target of 37.4, the second reason, I will take off this trading channel, is on the daily chart. I will go to the RSI, maybe, and you have a general flow of higher lows. 1, 2, 3, and it's sort of breaking this right now. However, if you get a macro area of this, and you could have a third low here, you could see this area as 1, 2, and a third higher low. If you go to the 2-day chart, you'll have low, low area, and all it needs to do is stay above this line here. So on the 2-day chart, it's a little clearer. Low, second low, third low could come all the way down here, and that would be about, I don't know, 4 to 8 days of price action to the downside. Doesn't have to be aggressive to the downside, but as long as it stops below this horizontal here, you have the 2-day still maintaining an RSI higher low structure. The daily, justifiably, it's pseudo higher low type of structure on the daily RSI. So the 2-day and daily RSI structure is still relatively intact. Yes, you could say, hey, it broke this trend line, that's bad. However, all I look for is once you come below the EMA, so the white line is the EMA, once you come below and find a bounce area, is that higher than the last time it significantly came back below this EMA? You see that EMA? So the last time so this doesn't count, this doesn't count, that's not significantly below. Last time it came significantly below would be this trend line here. So this could be a reason, a higher low area of the daily and 2-day, you're still maintaining a higher low structure on the RSIs, which is a fairly important thing to be doing. That could give people reason to go ahead and become buyers, as opposed to continuing this aggressive, potentially what could become aggressive selling, because many groups of people have reasons to be bearish right now. All right. The third reason right here is that the daily higher low structure, let me go to, actually, I'll just keep it on the 2-day chart. It's a little clearer, but we're going to loosely call this the daily higher low structure. You have a low, a high, a higher low. Let's call all of this a higher low, higher high. And since this low has not been broken, you both have higher lows and higher highs. Bitcoin could come all the way down to this area right here, about 37.7, and wick past it, but close the day here, and you're still holding a daily uptrend, right? It could come wick all the way to this trend line that everybody's going to be looking at, and close the day above this horizontal right there. And so it's still maintaining, it's still in a daily uptrend. That's reason number 3. Reason number 4, that people could end up becoming buyers at this area as opposed to continue being bearish, which, as I showed at the very beginning of this video, that a bunch of different people, no matter how they trade or analyze the charts, they have strong reasons to be bearish right now. And then I'm going to continue going over the 4th and perhaps 5th reasons to why people might become buyers within this week or next week. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go over the obvious bearish cases and wrap the video up. But before we get going here, make sure that you check out my Discord, where you can turn on your camera and microphone and ask me questions directly live up to 8 times a week. Links to in the description section of all my videos. Follow me on Twitter, cosasverdes with the number 2 afterward. And if online communities are not your thing, but you want more content above and beyond what I offer on YouTube, there's a join button that's right below this video. Go ahead and click it, and another short video pop up describing your options to you. Now, the weekly will also, if Bitcoin came all the way down here, it could also come all the way down, touch this line, which everybody and their brother and cousin will be looking at, besides obviously within the realm of coiners, right? As opposed to no coiners. No coiners don't have any idea what's going on here in Bitcoin land. Come all the way here, but before the week is up, it can come up and close above this area here. So what could easily happen is that you could have it could be this week, but let's say it's next week. Next week comes all the way here, but closes right there. And therefore, people have seen this be touched. People became buyers. Both weekly and daily in that situation would still be in uptrends. So in addition to that, you have uptrends in light of the monthly having closed above this. All of these reasons together could add up to Bitcoin bouncing in that area and continuing upward and onward closer to the next upward target of $52,000. Now, my last video, I'm going to link that to you at the end. That gives you some strong reasons to be bearish per my data type of analysis on Bitcoin, right? However, in this video, what I'm trying to do is give you the tools so you can make the decision for yourself. I'm not making any guesses in this video. I'm showing you what's bullish and what's bearish. So let's go into the very obvious bearish signs so you can be aware. Let's get going. Weekly closure. This is very bad. Again, I covered this at the very beginning, but this is really bad. Look at the last, I mean, just remember the last 2 times this happened, it was the end. Like it was the end. Here's those fractals. Remember the fractals from the beginning that went really low? Here you go. Went below, above, below. Below, above, below. The only 2 other times that it's only happened twice. And remember, taking the fractals from there is what I showed you at the beginning. So that's bearish, you know, that's extreme reason to be bearish. All right. Now, let's go ahead and put price back on. And the idea of this is that the people who interpret the weekly, what they might be seeing is that even though it was 2 monthly candles in a row that were green, it's easy to justify whale games creating a fake out to the upside, specifically squeaking out a monthly closure above the 10 so that folks in traditional interpretation rules would have reasons to be bullish before flipping it the other way. So the bearish case here is that right now, in this current setup, it's potentially that you had some whale games going on, pumping Ethereum harder than Bitcoin just to get that monthly close before turning it the other way, which is brought to light by this horrible weekly closure. And if you go to Bitcoin CMEs, also had an atrocious closure below the weekly 10. Nope, that's the monthly chart right there. It's closed just below the weekly 10. If you zoomed way into it to the last hour, it did close below that red line. And historically, if you go on CMEs, if you go just above the red line or the weekly 10, and then fairly immediately within a few ticks or a few candles close below it, that gets follow through for at least a week or 2. So that's another reason to be exceptionally bearish. All right. Now, from also the beginning of my video here, I'm going to show you what this horizontal was and spend a little bit more time on it. However, I'm not going to go over all those wave patterns. All right, I'm going to go to let's go to the 8-hour chart because that seems to be able to fit 1 year of price history on pretty well. Right here. This could be essentially seen as the middle of this macro range. So top, bottom, middle. Plus, you have areas of peaks and valleys, which are very important moments throughout this consolidation over the past year and roughly a year and a half at this point. Bitcoin just closed a nasty week, and on short-term time frames, the daily has not closed, but you have 4-hour closures below here, 1-hour closures below here. That gives people a strong reason to become sellers. A very strong reason. And I'm going to get the reason I'm revisiting this is I want to give you this range. It's roughly between 40,900 to 41. Let's call it 41.7. Let me write this in. There you go. Just fell off this cliff. All right. Now I'm going to get more into some indicators here. I'm going to go to the monthly chart. I'm going to throw on MACD. This is an exceptionally strong reason to be bearish because this is played out the same way every single time. A bearish cross of the monthly MACD has had the same result every time, often with a couple weeks of a fake out to the upside, which has also happened, but we already got that. We just went up to 48K, so we already got our fake out, but monthly signs on the MACD, that's another very, very strong reason to be bearish. All right, another reason to be bearish, I'm going to go to the weekly chart at this time and take off the MACD. Right here, weekly RSI. Now, let me show you a little bit of something here. Check this out. Remember the fractal that I was talking about in the thumbnail that said Mad Fractal? And I believe it was back from July 2018. Let me make sure. Yes, it was this fractal here from 2 videos ago. Now watch. And again, this was another moment where the 10 EMA, all right, and it was actually the 89 EMA. I showed you all the reasons why it was super freaky mixed with the daily 200 simple moving average. Oh, I'm on the weekly chart. Bam. And let me circle it. Let me zoom in. Bitcoin has the same setup on all of these EMAs, a perfect rejection off this. So I went over that video for new viewers. You can go check that out. And I guess I will link that to you at the end. So there are lots of reasons to think that what's happening to Bitcoin right now is what happened here. So that means we're going to go straight down to the weekly 89, which comes in at $38,000. All right. So that's also at $38,000. Another reason why people might come in and step in and be buyers. However, let me go back to the weekly chart, and I'm going to throw on the RSI. This could be seen. Watch. Oh, that's the wrong one. Right there. Right here. RSI came up to the same level and then broke back below the moving average of the RSI. See this? It's almost at the same exact level. So this is essentially can be interpreted, not confirmed yet, but interpreted as it's likely failed getting into the neutral zone and it got rejected from the neutral zone essentially. And if this week closes as weak as it looks like it's going to close, the juncture of the weekly RSI happens right here. It's going to close here, and therefore it will close below the moving average, which confirms this as a rejection from the neutral zone. That's another fairly strong reason to be bearish. And again, since this area right here in price and EMAs and millions of reasons, and this is like the 7th reason, it comes up to the same point. It's a fairly bearish interpretation that Bitcoin could not at least have a pullback and close above here, or maybe close just below, but this tick being right back above. It's not coming right back up, and it needs to come right back, because if this closes down here and doesn't tick up like this, which would be interpreted as a healthy bounce on this is going to be a very, very bearish signal. All right, let's go to the 2-week chart. Look at this RSI. Perfect rejection from the EMA. Another reason to be pretty bearish, which would mean that this EMA is going to push the RSI down lower and lower, and the next bounce point is this red line, which would bring price down to probably about 20K if this 2-week idea were to happen. If this were to play out, that would be Bitcoin around 20K or slightly lower. So this is another, like a lot of the things in the higher term time frame RSIs are getting really bearish. Also, the monthly RSI, high, lower high, lower high. Not looking good. Couldn't even get a rally strong enough to come up and test this RSI or to get rejected from the green zone. And this probably would have been about 60K Bitcoin. Had Bitcoin charged up to 60K, the monthly RSI would have had a chance over a couple months to hit this and get rejected. But it's so weak that it just got a much lower high before continuing to the downside. So you have a lot of the higher time frames indicators, and also the Stokes. The Stokes wanted to curl back up. The fast-moving Stokes got rejected by the slow-moving Stokes, continued down, and its next bounce point isn't until here. So can we, looking at the red, there isn't a time that, to my knowledge, that, yeah. So look, this is the last cutoff point where Bitcoin has a chance to turn around right here. See that? See these areas of confluence here? Watch. One, the red turned around there, the red turned around there, the red turned around roughly there. However, the red is busting below and accelerating to the downside as seen by the blue. It has broken below this. This is essentially like falling off a cliff. Meanwhile, Bitcoin from a horizontal standpoint has fallen off a cliff. From an EMA standpoint has fallen off a cliff. There are tons of, I could go on and on and on about reasons to be bearish right now, more than just short-term time frame for the next few days. Rather, this could end up finally leading to people having enough reasons to be selling. Plus, traditional markets aren't looking good. The, the global war situation might be, getting bloody and heating up. It's not looking good. This could be turning into a perfect storm here. However, in regards to Bitcoin, this 38K level could bring in enough people to either, as I said at the beginning of the video, A, stop being sellers, expecting a possible bounce, or B, to become buyers. So I gave you some reasons that could happen at the beginning of the video, followed up with a ton of reasons to be bearish. I want you to leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think is going to happen over the next 2 to 3 months, whether it's going to be more like capitulation, if things will, for example, stop at 30K, or if you think price will bounce at 38K before heading up. Let me know your thoughts down below. Watch this video right here if you want to see my mad fractal video from 2 videos ago, and click this video right here if you want the biggest 4 ways that Bitcoin can move over the middle portion of 2022. And you just got simplified worldwide. Peace.